Hello, this is Alec Kerr, the film critic for the Conway Daily Sun. This weekend, Iron Man 3 came out, so I want to talk about why these Marvel films have been so well made and what makes them so good. And the first Marvel film as produced by themselves, because there were other Marvel films that were made by other companies, but Marvel started producing their own films with Iron Man in 2008, which was followed by The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then the culmination of all these heroes into one film last year with The Avengers. Now we're having what they're calling Phase 2. There's going to be Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America 2, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then these will all culminate with Avengers 2, and then so forth, and we'll keep going, keep producing more and more films. Now, the thing that's really important about all these films, and it goes back to a 1983 special that Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert did called The Secret of Star Wars. And the same thing that they said in that episode about what made Star Wars so good holds true for Marvel. So I'm going to read a statement that Gene Siskel made on that episode that really still rings true to what's happening with these Marvel films. Why has the series as a whole been popular? I think quality control is the answer. Once the first Star Wars movie was a hit, the rest of the series would depend on how well the second Star Wars film was made. Because if everything worked well with Empire Strikes Back, then Star Wars would become not just the name of a movie, but a brand name that would stand for a certain style and quality of entertainment. Now that definitely holds true with the Marvel films as well. They've all been made very well, and now Marvel has become a recognizable brand name of quality. Because every summer we get bombarded with new blockbuster movies, and a lot of them are pretty poor. But these Marvel films have been well made, and people know that, and so you can trust when you go to a Marvel film you're going to be entertained. In that same Secrets of Star Wars episode, Roger Ebert also said a statement that kind of pertains to what we're talking about here, and he said that there is a goofy, childlike sense of fun. What it seems to me frequently in movies, whenever they've made a movie with that sense of fun, they felt like they didn't need to be serious about anything else. They could have lousy special effects, they could come up with any story at all, but to come up with absolutely top-flight credits connected with that fun is the key here. And that is also key with what's going on with Marvel, because there is this sense of fun. It is goofy, it is silly, but just because it's goofy and silly doesn't mean that the filmmakers can't take it seriously, and they do take it serious. And Marvel's been very smart in choosing their directors and their writing teams. They haven't just picked any random person to do it. They have chosen filmmakers that fit the material very well, and they picked filmmakers that are fans of the material. The first two Iron Man films were directed by Jon Favreau, who has a real love for practical effects and an adoration for the character and for the comic books, and that comes across in the filmmaking. For this third film, it was written and directed by Shane Black, who has a real sardonic sense of humor that really matches the voice of Tony Stark. He also was an important filmmaker in the 80s and 90s who really kind of helped reinvent the action genre, particularly buddy films. And so there's a buddy film quality to Iron Man 3 that helps this new movie become fresh again. And similarly, Thor was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who has a history in Shakespearean drama and adds that kind of vitality to the story. The Avengers was directed by Joss Whedon, who did series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly and knew how to work with a large ensemble cast, which was essential to making the Avengers work. And that's why Marvel films have been so well made, because there is an attention to detail and to choosing the right people for the film. The casting has always been impeccable too. When Iron Man came out, Robert Downey Jr. was not a huge star anymore, and so that was a risk, but he was the perfect person for that role, and that's what they've done throughout the entire casting. They haven't necessarily picked the biggest star in the world. They have chosen the right person for the role. Like with Thor, Chris Hemsworth was an unknown, and he was perfect for that role, and that's what has made this work. It is the quality control aspect. And that's why we keep coming back to these films, because even though we're the sixth film into this series, it's still of the highest quality. And even though it is this big special effects film, it's still character-driven, it's still dialogue-driven. and it hasn't just become this overwhelming behemoth. There is still a soul in these films. The only point when we'll stop coming back is when that quality drops off, and there's no indication of that with these Marvel films. So I look forward to more of these movies. Anyway, this is Alec, and come back next week for another Real Thoughts.